Hey guys, Engine675 here, and today we're in a bit of a different part of my room that we don't really see too much of on this channel, because today, in this episode of my Organizing Legos series, we're going to be talking about storing your instructions and sorting them and stuff like that. So, sorting instructions by theme versus by number versus by size, and then storage being binders, a file cabinet, and then filing them and not filing them. So, yep, those are the topics we'll be talking about today. So first of all, sorting instructions, of course. There's a couple different ways you can sort instructions. As you probably guessed by what I just said, you can sort them either by theme, by number, or by size. Theme is, say you have a bunch of city instructions, you put all the city instructions together. You have a bunch of power miners instructions, you put a bunch of power miners instructions together. You just sort them like that. And then by number is you just sort them by the set number. So if you have a set 8973 and then you have a set 9725, you put the 8973 or whatever it was before the 9275 or whatever I said, you just put them in numerical order. And then by size is that instructions come in different sizes, and then you just basically just put them into groups based on what size instruction they are. So that's kind of those are the kind of the ways you can do that. They each have their own benefits, but usually you're not going to be doing just one of these things, as we'll see in a second here, because this is what I do and why we're over here, so you guys can see this sort of thing right here. So this is how I have stored my instructions, and you'll see here that you can do kind of a combination of all of these, which is what I have here. I have in the back there, you can see the best classic set instructions, which are sorted first by theme, because all the classic ones are together, then by instruction size. You can see the different piles, different sizes of instructions, like those over there, ones over here, and with the Batman movie stuff, you can see obviously the big ones, the kind of medium size ones, like the medium small ones, and then the really small ones. And then of course all the piles are sorted by number. As you can see here, we have 40358, and then under it is 40139, so that's how you do that. Overall, which is best for you really just depends on how you think about where you'll find your instructions the fastest. So it's not really necessarily a one-size-fits-all. I'm kind of doing a mix of everything here, but you can feel free to do what you want. So yeah, that is kind of sorting. As far as storage goes, you have really two main options that I've run into, and I'm not going to talk about like the whole thing where you destroy the instructions by binding them into a book, because I don't think that's a good idea. But it's out there if you want to go learn about it. So the first way that you're seeing in front of you right now is to have kind of like a filing cabinet. And I know we're talking about this in the reverse order of what I said, but that's irrelevant. So basically what you do is you get kind of like a filing cabinet, something like this. I know this isn't specifically a filing cabinet. You can't really put files in here, but like some kind of drawer system or something. And then you just sort the instructions into there. And that's what I like to do the most. I used to do binders, and we'll talk about binders in a second, but basically what you can do there is you can either put your instructions in like they are here, or you can file them. If you file them, you won't have to deal with stacks of instructions, which in the case of like Star Wars sets and stuff, in my case, this can get really annoying. But also, other than that, this takes up less space because you don't have to have every single file drawer being a set size. You can have smaller drawers like this one, or you can have larger drawers like this one. So yeah, as you can see, a bit larger pile of instructions back there. That makes it a bit hard to get to the stuff at the bottom. So just keep that in mind, that if you're going to do it like this and you're going to stack them, there's that. So just bear that in mind. But of course, if you're filing them, you don't stack them. You just have a whole bunch of rows, and you just open whatever file you need. You pull out the instructions you need, and that's pretty much it. So yeah, those are kind of those two. Really, as far as which is best for you, it really depends on space and just how many instructions you have, and just kind of you and how you like to do it. This is how I like to do it. I like to not file it. Just one, because I don't have really space for a filing cabinet here, and two, it just takes more space to file them. And when you have a lot of instructions, space becomes a lot more of an issue. So that's why I've done what I've done here. But of course there are some cons with this, and the whole stacking thing and all that other fun stuff that you can get out of something like this, because it's nice for space and it looks half decent, but stacking con, not great. Conditions for these instruction manuals aren't the best. They can get torn pretty easily. Maybe not necessarily torn, but definitely bent easier than some other methods, or at least the other method we talk about in this video. But yeah, so that's kind of the whole filing cabinet thing. It's just kind of, you just put them in a filing cabinet. So Yeah, and then lastly, even though this isn't what's last on the list, we'll talk about binders briefly. So another common way to store your instruction manuals is basically to get really big binders and then to have like those clear sleeves that you can slide stuff into, and then you just put the instructions in there and you can do all your sorting that way. There are definitely some benefits to sorting by binders. Probably the first of which is space. It's a lot more space efficient to have a binder than something like this, because it's like this might be what, like a single binder, maybe, probably wouldn't even be that much, and it's like you're taking up this entire drawer, which is pretty deep. I'm going to tilt the camera so you can see how deep this drawer is. And also this is kind of partially how I've chosen to sort it, because there's like a whole other half the drawer that's not used in most of it. But yeah, it's like you can either have like a single binder or you can have this, and obviously if space is that massive of a concern to you, then you're probably going to want to go with the binder. Another pro with the binder is that you can easily remove the instructions, kind of like filing versus not filing. If you were going to file them, you can easily remove them, and they're stored individually in most cases. So what I used to do when I did this is if I had multiple sets of the same number, I just put all those together in one side of the sleeve, and then I just put the next set on the next side of the sleeve, and then I just keep going. So that can be pretty helpful. But again, so something like this, you can just stack them. So I don't know. Take your pick. But other than that, though, you can obviously have different binders, different themes and such, however you want to do it. But really, those are the main pros I see with binders. But maybe besides expense, something like this is probably going to be a bit more expensive than a bunch of binders and sleeves to put instructions in. Or maybe they'll be about the same. I don't know. I'm not looking into that right now. But, do some research to find out stuff about costs, because, of course, cost per unit, depending on what you buy, will vary. So, not necessarily something that's super helpful for me to say, but I said it. So yeah, I'm just going to take a wild guess that the drawer unit, like a piece of furniture, is probably going to be more expensive overall than like one or two binders. So keep that in mind. But kind of the main con with binders, and there's a few. One is that if you get a lot of instructions in them, and I know this might sound like a little wimpy complaint, but they get to be pretty heavy. And when I had the instructions in binders, I was a lot younger, so obviously I didn't have a lot of the arm strength and such that I have now. So that was a big problem for me, just moving them around and stuff, because they were so heavy. It's like I had to make a really conscious effort to move them and move them off of the shelf and stuff. And it's like, even then, it's like it's so exhausting, and it's just like, you know what, I'm just gonna have a pile of instructions at that point. And then, of course, another problem with them being heavy is that they can get unwieldy, and the problem with using the clear sleeve system is that if you tilt the binder the wrong way, all the instructions fall out, which is not necessarily a problem you have with the drawer system. This is pretty grounded. It's pretty stable. Obviously I can shake it and stuff will move around a little bit, but it's not like I'll tip the whole thing over on accident and all the instructions will go everywhere, which is what happens if you have a binder sometimes. You can just tip it and all the instructions go out, and boom, you lost an hour of time. So that really sucks. And kind of the last one is, well, while it's useful for having an expandable size with the binder rings, if you have a bad binder or just a lot of stuff in there, it can become really easy for the little sleeves to come out, and it's just annoying and just not very good when the sleeves come out. So yeah, not the best. Not a fun time. I have been there before, and it's not pleasant. So you might be wondering at this point, and I know this isn't something I said to talk about, but why did I switch over from binders to something like this? And honestly, it was just because, while binders, I think overall, are better, just at where I was in my life at the time when I was using binders, I was just getting really frustrated with binders because of how many instructions I had in a single binder. And even then, it's like, if I'm putting all the Star Wars instructions together like I did, it wouldn't be enough to fit in one binder. So it wasn't great. So I decided to go for something like this, mostly because a lot of the things with the sleeves and the tilting of the binder and stuff, and just the plastic sleeves are just kind of annoying to deal with, and just in general, in my opinion. Something like this, obviously you have stuff stacked together, but it's a lot easier to pull out, whatever instruction manual you need. You just go down there, pull out that instruction manual, and, it's not really too big of a deal. And of course, this does take up more space, but I think, personally, for me, it's worth it. So as far as what you should do, hopefully this video will help you figure out what solution you might want to use for storing your instructions. I've presented 2 solutions for that in this video, but I'm sure there are others out there. So do your research, come to an informed decision, and then once you're there, go through with it, because it's not very useful to do all the research if you're not going to actually take action and better your situation with your instructions. So I think that'll wrap up this episode of my Organizing Legos series. Next time we'll be taking a look at box storage, and I don't know when that will be just yet, because this is the last episode of the 2019 schedule for the series, which is where I'm having one of these every other week. So I don't quite know when that will come out yet, but we will have to see. I don't know, maybe I'll continue like the every other week cycle until this is all done into the new year, but I don't know, we will have to see. So that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks everybody so much for watching. Let me know if you found this helpful down in the comment section below, or if you have any other methods for storing instructions and such. And yeah, that's going to wrap up this video. Thanks everybody so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.